mechanic, right, lead technician, and I moved my way on up. I worked at a shop called Courtesy Chevrolet. It used to be here on Stevens Creek, right? Now it's called Momentum Chevrolet. And I worked my way up there, and that was me. I thought, yeah, somebody said love the cornrows. I used to have cornrows. When I came into the business, and this is my first meeting. You ready? I come into the meeting after the meeting, and Paul Hart says, he addresses me. He says, hey man, you gotta do something about your hair. He said, you gotta do something about your hair. And I said, well, so Paul's a nice guy. You know, Paul's like kind of like trying to figure out how to tell me to cut my hair right. He says, you gotta do something about your hair. I said, oh, okay, cool. He goes, because when you open up the Forbes magazine, right, or any money magazine, you don't see a Latino guy typically in them. I said, okay, yeah, I'll give you that. He goes, and especially you don't see a Latino guy with long hair. I said, okay. So then I went home and I went to go talk to my neighborhood lady that does hair, right? I'm from one of those neighborhoods where there's a lady down the street that you can just, you get the extensions and they'll be in there. I was in her front yard and she was doing my braids for like it felt like 17 hours. I went to the next BPM with my hair. If anybody out here's ever gotten cornrows, you know what I'm talking about. I went to the next BPM with my hair like this, like it was, because they pull them from here and they leave them all the way in, right? And I went like I was just like, what the heck, right? And then I get to the meeting. Check this out. I get to the meeting and Paul Hart looks at me, and I swear to you, he starts laughing, like he just seen a ghost or he just seen a clown, right? No, he didn't see no clown. He saw me, right? But he saw like a Mexican guy with cornrows, and he said, well, let me talk to you for a second. I said, yeah, what's up, Paul? He goes, man, you're the definition of defying coachability. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, I guess I can't say you weren't coachable because I didn't tell you to cut your hair. I told you to do something with my hair. I said, yeah, you told me to do something with it, so I got cornrows. He goes, you need to cut your hair. I said, oh, cut it, man. And let me tell you, anybody's ever had long hair on here for the guys, right? You know what it's like to cut your hair when you haven't cut it in like 4 years. It's a commitment, right? It's a commitment. I was like, man, I don't even know this guy very well, and I don't know about cutting my hair. Not only do I not know him very well, but I don't know if I want to go full time into the business. Well, with cutting my hair, it took me 4 years to grow it that long. And so then I did it. I cut my hair. And my business started to change because I started to attract better people, right? I started to attract better people. And I'm going to tell you this right now. The people that come from my neighborhood, a lot of people excel in their business, right? There's a lot of guys that are on Team Pinnacle that came from the east side of San Jose, but they're the needle in the haystack. They're the needle in the haystack. Not every one of them is going to do good here. So don't go, hey, Johnny, Eric, Paul, all these guys came from the east side of San Jose. Let's go find some more guys. No, not all of them are going to make it here. There's a few, there's a needle in the haystack somewhere that you can still comb through, but they're pretty much all here now. So let me go to the next slide. So let's get into it, right? This is how my team looked like when I first started it. My team. About half of that team you see on there, I bribed to be at that welcome. And I'm not kidding. One of them is my sister. She's holding a little panda bear because we donated some money, right? So she had to be there. I told her, hey, you're my sister. You have to be at this event. She's like, okay, whatever, bro. I'll support you since I've never gone to anything you do. And so she came to that welcome in 2009, and that was my team. The couple in the back, that's my cousins. Like, all these people pretty much were family, and they had to be there because I made them. I said, hey, I let you borrow money. I let you borrow my house. Something, right? I bribed them. Not only did I bribe them, but I bribed them. I'm just kidding. They had to be there, right? You all have family or friends that they have to be there at whatever you tell them to be there because you've done something for them. That was my team. So it wasn't really a real team because after this event, I never saw them again, right? I never saw them again. So this is my team in 2009. Let's go to the next slide. Right? And this is my the home team that I played for. Right? This is who I do this for. Man, that's a recent picture. Man, I love these guys right here. That's my beautiful wife up to the top left right there. My twin daughters, they're characters, man. They're characters. They're doing speech classes right now because they're doing public speaking. They were on the Pinnacle Kids speech, Pinnacle Kids NLA actually, and they were like, wow, they're cool speakers. Can we become one of those people one day? I said, yeah, eventually. You can ask your Uncle Eric one day to be a guest speaker. They're 8 years old. They're born and raised through WG, thick and thin. They know everything about the business. They love it. They call all the people that they see come over to our home, right? They call them their tios and tias, right? They go, oh, they're my tio from WFG or my tia from WFG. Everybody to them is a tio or a tia, right? They had amazing hearts. And my son, he's a little replica of me, right? Yeah, he likes the monster trucks, right? Listen, you know what I'm talking. He loves the monster truck, man. He's gonna be he's gonna be an amazing boy. And then my little daughter, my newborn, she's like they call these babies COVID babies. They're not COVID babies. We were expecting her before COVID, right? But she was born through this whole pandemic, right? This whole pandemic that we're going through right now. She was born early on this year, and I'm having a blast. Because I'm gonna tell you this why I'm having a blast. Because you may think, what? Why are you having a blast? For the first time ever, right? Because I've worked so hard the last 8 years. I feel like I worked really, really hard. For the first time ever, I'm able to be home with my daughter. I'm able to be home with all my kids and my wife. But for the first time ever, my daughter's now 6 months. She's going on 7 months, right? And for the first time ever, I'm there in the morning as she wakes up. I'm the one putting her to sleep. I'm the one feeding her sometimes, right? Because my beautiful wife does it all. And when she wakes up at night, when she needs to, a change of diaper or a feeding, I'm there. For the first time ever. Follow me, for the first time ever. And me doing this business. And the reason why I'm sharing that is because I feel so blessed to be a part of WFG. And I feel so blessed to be a part of Alpha and to be a part of Pinnacle. Because if it had not been for somebody recruiting me, right, when I turned 20 years old, I would not be here right now. Right? Are you guys following me on this? So my whole talk today, a lot of it's going to be geared towards recruiting. But just know this, because at the stroke of a pen, right, later on tonight, you might be meeting with somebody for a one-on-one to give them the opportunity of WFG. And you're going to change your life. You just don't know it yet. And they might not know it yet. But somebody, right, the guy that recruited me is a guy named Manuel Valle. Manuel Valle was his replacement leg when he went out to SMB. When he recruited me, right, in WFG, he didn't know that when he recruited me at 20 years old, that my whole life was about to change. That he would soon introduce me to my fiance, who would eventually become my wife. He didn't know that through recruiting me, eventually he would right, because of him signing that AMA and Eric Olson and Paul Hart mentoring us. They didn't know that eventually I was going to have 4 kids, amazing kids that were going to be brought up in this WFG environment. They didn't know, but they gave me an opportunity. They gave me an opportunity, and guess what? And my beautiful wife that's in this picture, I recruited her. So they say, hey, you recruit up, right? You recruit up. I recruited an amazing wife. She came into a BPM, and when the BPM was over, I said, you got to stay back because I'm going to do a follow-up interview. You got to stay back. You're the lucky person that I get to do one of the interviews tonight, and it's going to be your interview. Your follow-up interview is going to be my interview, and from that moment on, she never left my side. She's there. She's been with me ever since, through the ups and through the downs. So as I show you this picture, I want to ask you guys a question. Who are you doing this for? Because before I go into the bullet points that I'm going to share with you guys tonight, I want you to understand, if you're not clear as to why you're doing this, you will be bounced around like a ping pong ball in our business. You're going to fiddle around with other businesses. You're going to fiddle around with other jobs. You're going to fiddle around with other things, and you're not going to know why you're not clear on this. I'm very clear as to why I'm doing this. There's a lot of people depending on me right now. Those beautiful children you see in that picture, my wife, my parents who count on me every day, you know what I mean, for everything that we do, they're counting on me. I want to ask you this question as I move forward in my presentation today. Who are you doing this for? And are you clear why you're doing it? It can be your parents. It can be your wife. It can be your kids. It can be other people, right? Your teammates or a mentor or somebody who's done something for you, right? But you need to be very clear why you're doing this. Because in moments like these right now, where it's dark and gloomy outside, this is where you're tested. This is where you stay strong or you fold. I've been blessed this last month. We made over 35,000 in cash flow this last month, right? In the month of November. I I didn't have to leave the office. I'm sorry, I didn't have to leave my home. I didn't have to leave my home. A lot of you guys have been watching my transformation because I said, man, in order for one to be happy, you got to transform everything from within all the way right to the outside, right, the outer skin, right? And so I've been transforming the last year and a half, 2 years, right? I'll go back so we're going to that. And so you got to be clear on why you're doing it. So I was doing it at first for my parents, right? So I'm going to give you guys a few bullet points as to why I was doing it. At first, I was doing it to prove my dad wrong, right? So some of you guys are on here. You might say, well, I don't have too many people that I'm doing it for, but I'm doing it to prove all the haters wrong. If you're on here and nobody's talking about you, right, good or bad, that means you're not making enough noise. You follow me on that? I promise you, a lot of the top leaders like Mario, Juan Hangman, Paul Hart, you name it, all the top leaders, Caitlin and Juan, all my good friends that are on tonight, right? Randy Cicanos, all the guys that are on, right? All my good friends. Man, all of you guys, awesome. You did an amazing to get started tonight, right? I hope that one day I get the privilege of picking out Money Monday, right, like you did today, right? And then to Eric to call you, right, the mini-me, right? They compare you to him. That's freaking awesome. But all these guys, they're making enough noise where there's haters out there. And so my first instinct in 2011 was to do this to prove everybody wrong. All the people that didn't believe in me, I wanted to prove them wrong. I wanted to prove to them that I could do this business, right? They're following me on that. So maybe you're on this call and you're thinking, man, like, I don't really like. Some of us go, oh, my mom moved to me, and then the whole year goes by and you don't do anything, right? And you go, well, I'm the guy that will ask you, like, so your mom moved, but how come all year you were just not doing anything? You didn't move. So your mom moved, you didn't do what? You didn't do anything. Well, I guess you did. I guess she's not my number one motivation. So what is? Who are you doing this for? Get very clear. And these kids have watched their dad work his butt off now. And now I do it for the pleasure. Now I do it for the pleasure of watching my kids' eyes light up as I buy, when we buy the bike, we bought them a mountain bicycles, right? Now they go mountain biking or they go play or whatever they go do with the new toys that we get them or the new things, right? They're homeschooling. Their mom's she's a homeschool teacher. And her, all the wonderful things they get to do with her, right? And that's a fulfilling thing for me. Now, that's why I do it. I can't. That's my why. My why, by the way, I'm going to tell you guys this. Your why will evolve. And I want you guys to write that down because as you're recruiting people, your why and their whys are going to evolve. You got to make sure you get very clear as to why they're doing this because they will evolve. In the beginning was to prove people wrong. And then now is to prove people right. All the people that believed in me, like Eric, like Paul, like Manuel Valle, like Julian Fouquet, a great friend of mine, right? All my sister-in-law, right, who's also one of my operation leaders here. They all believed in me. They believe in me to this day, and I want to prove to them right that they believe in the right person, right? So I want you to make sure that you get clear because whatever I'm going to say in my next few slides, if you're not clear on this, right, if you're not clear on why you're doing this, you will bounce out of this business, and you won't know why. You won't know why you bounce. Like, oh, why am I bouncing around? And, well, I'm going to go do Uber now, or Lyft, or I'm going to go do, all this other stuff, right? And you start to get sidetracked because you start to lose the picture as to why you're doing this, right? And then let me give you another reason why I'm doing this. Let me go to the next picture. The crusade is real. The crusade is real. And the guy's on the call right now, so I want to say, man, I texted him a little while ago, and he just told me, I'm going to share this moment, but I wanted to get the permission from him. What we do is special. I've been in this business now going on 13 years, right? I'm going into my 13th year of WMG. My first, 6 years, I've never delivered a check. I never delivered a death claim. I was never on the, you know how we write up these policies? Man, we wrote so many policies. I remember when I first was able to even take money out tax-free out of my IUL, because I wanted to test it. I said, man, I've been telling clients for the last 10 years that you can touch the money tax-free. Well, let me see if this is true, right? I've been in the business for a long time, and Paul sold me an IUL, and I believed him, and I remember asking Paul one time, Paul, hey, Paul, I asked him a question, he said, yeah, what's up? I said, have you took money out of these IULs, or do you VULs? He's like, yeah, I just did, I think, like recently. I said, so it works. He's like, yeah. I said, okay, cool. Because I had a client ask me, and I've been writing a business for like 6 years, and they told me, have you seen anybody take money out of these? And I was kind of like, it kind of almost stung me, like, I'm pretty sure somebody, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure somebody has. And so then, for me to become a believer, I went in and I took money out of my VUL at the time, right? I took out some money just to see if it worked, and it worked, and I said, oh, it worked. And I went up to Paul, hey, Paul, these VULs and these IULs, they work. And he was like, he started laughing. I said, Paul, we've been selling these things to people with blind faith that they would work. I wanted to at least make sure it worked, right? And he's like, I was like, but now I already believe the products. I've been selling it for like 7 years, but I wanted to reconfirm that that all that we say to people is true. And so this is a special moment in my life. And from 2014 to like 2018, I've delivered like 7 different death claims or claims of money, right? Living benefits or whatever it may be, right? Or I've helped somebody get into the retirement, right? From rolling over millions of dollars, right? I have a client who rolled over $1 few million last 8 years ago, and this last year retired, and he retired and he's living off of the income, and I was like, man, that stuff's crazy. Because of the income that we produced him through an annuity, he's now able to retire, right? And he's fired up. He's an amazing client of mine, and he's a client over and over again for that reason. And he's a special client to me because in 2016, that's her picture right there with her son. And he's an MD in my bake shop, marketing director of my bake shop. And this young guy came into our business. He got introduced to me when he was 17. We didn't recruit him. The night that he turned 18, he came into the business. Think about this. The night that he turned 18, instead of him going out to party and doing all this stuff, right? He came into our business, fired up. And this is a recruiting story. That was a crusade story at the same time. Recruiting and crusade all at the same time. I want you guys to have a breakthrough tonight on recruiting, but also the crusade goes along with it, right? We recruited him. He turns 18 that night, and he comes up to me after I was done doing the presentation, or one of the ladies, right? And he says, "Man, I really want to do this. I don't know where to go. Today's my birthday, and I'm supposed to be at a party and all this stuff, right? The young people do." And I said, "Man, you're at the right place." I introduced him to one of my senior marketing directors. I said, "Hey, let's give this kid a chance. Let's see what he can do." He turns 18 that night, right? He gets coded on the spot. The next day, he gets going. He comes back in the next day. When most people would have, not been, waking up early the next day, he woke up into the office. He was so excited. He was like, "I want to do this. I've been given an opportunity of a lifetime. I want to do this." And he makes a list, a big list. And he goes and sees everybody. He goes bananas in our business. This guy's one of my top marketing directors. He's got up to 50 by 50 in my base shop. Well, before this whole COVID thing, right? When my base shop was booming with meetings, this is 50, 60, 70 people. This guy was one of the MPs. The month he hit MD, he did like 50 and 50, and he was like brand new young guy. I don't know. He's like, I didn't even know what I was doing. He's writing the policies, seeing people left and right. And as a part of this promotion, right? Sometimes, if you're on this call, sometimes you go, "Oh, he's on a promotion run, so we got to go see his family." No, you don't. You get to go see their family. And don't forget that at the stroke of a pen, you're about to change your life. But don't be shy about doing it. Go do that business. Go help everybody that you can in the market. And even if it's just for a promotion, who cares? Check this out. His mom, that's his mom you see to his right, to my left, right? That's his mom. An amazing woman, man. Amazing woman. She freaking, I love the lady to death. She, every time I would see her, she would always cook for us. She would always give us hugs. "Mijo, take care of my mijo. He's so fired up." He gets home from the business meetings, and all he talks about is how he changed his life. And now he wears suits, and he has tattoos all over his hands. And now he's going to a recovery program where they're taking all the tattoos off from top. He was like 14 with tattoos already, and all his hands were covered in tattoos. She said, and because of you recruiting him, he's cleaned everything up. He wears suits every day now. Everywhere he goes, people respect him. He's just a respectable young guy now, and he's doing amazing. And he's he loves you. All he does is talk about how you and Paul Hart like have changed his life and a meeting you did that just made him feel special. And she would always she would always get an emotion. She would always get emotional. She was like a very amazing, wonderful lady. And we got to, when he was on his promotion to run, she became a client. She became a client through one of our product providers, right? She became a client. And that's me with him and her in 2016. And if you see a different look on her face in 2018, I remember getting this phone call. This man is looking a little choked up. I remember getting this phone call. I said, hey, I need you to meet with my mom because she's not doing very well. And I said, okay. I said, well, what's up? What's going on? She goes, well, she had been going to the doctor because she had some pain and they couldn't figure out what was going on. And one day it was just excruciating pain that she could barely move and stuff. And he goes, and they figured it out. I said, okay. And I didn't want to get into the details over the phone, so they figured it out. I said, okay. And then I come over to their house, right? And I'm talking to the mom, and I can see her deteriorating a little bit. And she says, they only gave me maximum 6 months to live. Wow. I was like, what? No. And she says, yeah, the doctor, we just came back from a doctor visit. And he said, and I want you guys to put all this in perspective because she told me this, and I broke down with her. And I got kids now, so I'm like, I don't know if my kids made me more emotional, which I'm pretty sure it did. The fathers in the car, like my daughters, and they say stuff to me, and they want to make me want to, my daughter says, Dad, my baby daughter's 6 months, and she asks for me every morning, Dad, and I'm like, oh God, if that isn't out your heart as a father, I don't know, I don't know, your heart's not it's not connected the right way. It's not connected the same way that mine is. I'll tell you that right now. This lady, I met with her, and as I'm sitting in that table right there, that's at their house. One of the visits that I went to go see her right before she's visiting her final stages right here. She said, Nico, I said, tell me what happened. Like, you went to the doctor, like, she wanted to share her experience with me. And I wanted to hear it because I was like, I want this to resonate in my heart forever, right? I want to be able to, like, remember you forever. You're an amazing woman. I want to remember you forever. And she said, I'm sitting in that hospital bed, and my kids are all there, and the doctor walks in. Imagine this. You being, knock on wood, everybody on this call, you're in great health, right? You're in that hospital bed as the doctor comes in, and your kids are sitting around. And then he says, yeah, can I tell you one thing? She goes, yeah. He goes, do you have any dreams of visiting places on this planet, on this earth that you want to go, that you haven't been able to go see? She goes, of course. He goes, okay. So I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell you, but before I tell you, I want to stress something to you. Okay? This is just an estimation. But based on what we see and the escalation of this, I don't know how far you are along on this process, but it's not going to take very long. He said, I want you to write down every place that you've been wanting to visit. You wanted to take your kids, or that you wanted to go to in your childhood and visit those places. I want you to take the time because you don't have time anymore on your side. You got to take that list. And you and your husband and your kids, if they can come, start visiting all those places. There's places around the world that you wanted to go visit before that day comes. He said because based on what we're looking at right now through these graphs and through these what are they called? The results, right? They got the results back. They're looking at them on the screen or whatnot. X-rays. Thank you for listening. Help me out here. X-rays. We don't think you'll be here longer than 6 months. And she said all the kids started crying. She said I couldn't cry. For the first time, she couldn't be like. She's like, because everybody in my family started to cry. My kids they all broke down. Like what? Like they wanted to just almost like beat the doctor up for there's got to be a problem, a mistake, something, right? He said you don't have more than 6 months. And then think about this. I took this picture like soon thereafter, right? And she's going through all her blood transfusions and all this stuff that she's going through, and we're there every step of the way. And this product provider in front of me right there, there's the check, because the product provider accelerated the death benefit. And then we go over to the house, and by the way, you got to be on top of your game because we got all the paperwork done. Immediately when the doctor told her that news, he said, you're lucky if you have 6 months, but we don't think 90 days is even in your picture in front of you. And then I broke down crying. I was like, you know what, that's crazy. How did I can even imagine what it would feel like for you to receive that information in front of your kids and you being a mother. I'm a father now with 4 little kids. Like I don't even know where to start. You know what I mean? And so we met, and we started to go through all our financials. He said, man, I don't even know where to begin because this policy that my son gave me, this is crazy. Her son's on the call tonight. He said all his family negated him when he was doing the business. They said, that stupid business you're doing, WFG doesn't work, and you're selling your friends and family, and none of this crap ever was going to pay out, and all this stuff, right? And then we're all giving him a hard time. When we recruited him, because he was 18, he said, his whole family, who's going to buy from you? You're 18, stupid young kid. Nobody's going to buy from you. And little did he know that when he got recruited, we were changing his whole family's life. His mom came in, we sat down and we broke all our finances down, right? And we did all the paperwork that needed to happen. She paid her taxes. She paid her home for the kids, just started to do all this stuff. She had a bunch of money left over from the policy. And I said, where do you want to go visit in this world? Let's book those trips right now. And so then, and think about this crusade. That check was, and so she ended up passing away in July of 2019, and she was here for almost a whole another year. So the doctor had gave her like 6 months to live, and she held on as long as she could, man. Almost a whole year went by, and she fought it, and she had left behind her kids with an inheritance now instead of debts, right? She was terrified. When I was sitting with her, she was terrified. She didn't want to leave back any kind of debt. She said, man, and then all of a sudden, all the whole family was asking them, where are you getting this money from? And then she said, this lady is so strong. She said, from that stupid thing that you guys told my son not to do. The thing that you told my son to quit years ago was taking care of my family, and it's taking care of me, and it's going to bury me when I die, and it's going to take care of them after I pass on. And so I want you guys to understand one thing. Recruiting leads to all this stuff. Because somebody at one point recruited me, right? We ended up recruiting a lady named Dariela, who ended up recruiting a guy named Robert Weinstein, right? Robert Weinstein's in his late 50s, right, early 60s, who ends up meeting this guy at a gas station, Abel Aguilar. And because of a stroke of a pen, right, because we recruited somebody to recruit another person to tackle it, right, into another market, and then from this 50-year-old gentleman on our team, he recruits this 18-year-old young buck, and this young guy gets after it, and his whole life has changed now. His whole life has changed. And his mom's looking down on him right now, and she's proud of the decision that he made as a young man doing this business, right? Taking a chance when everybody else told him not to do it. You guys follow me? And so I wanted to say that because, man, the crusade's real. The crusade's real. And this is one of the stories. This last few years, I've gotten the privilege of doing this many times. I say a privilege because I feel righteous doing this by people being the guy that could deliver for them. I don't feel like it's the right thing that happens, right? But it's a thing that is inevitable to happen in our life. But I feel when I sit there and we cry together or we have an emotional time together, thinking about their life and what it's come up to and how we've been able to help them. This was probably by far the most powerful, impacting story I've ever gotten to witness in this business. And I want to go to the next slide. Let me share some bullet points with you guys that are going to help you hopefully today become big recruiters. Oh crap, go back. Oh, hold on, don't slide that in there. Oh my goodness. Man. Woo! Changing pages here, all right? Man. I want you guys to understand one thing. That you recruiting somebody, right, whether they're young or in the wrong market or they're in the right market, and then writing them up, taking them through our system, taprooting them and doing all that good stuff leads to all this stuff that we get to do as a God's given gift, right, to these families, right? You follow me on that? This young gentleman right here in that picture was a prospect of a guy named Robert Weinstein, who he was a prospect at a Costco to a lady named Daniela Salazar. And we've been able to pay death claims to a lot of our team's families because they, through a byproduct of them coming into the business, we go see their family, right? Their top three. They become a client, and then we go and recruit somebody else and do it, on and on and on and on until we build the business. So, with that being said, man, I want to change gears here a little bit. Can you guys do me a huge favor and take a deep breath? Because, man, I was getting choked up on that last slide. Take a deep breath, buddy. Everybody, breathe in, let it out. Man. Let's go to the next slide. Let's change a little bit of gears here. In order for us to win here in this business, I want you guys to understand one thing. You got to be happy. You got to be happy with number one, and you got to start to change. And I'm going to skip through this really quickly. I'm going to just tell you this is my transformation. People are looking at me going, "Oh man, you're an inspiration. You're doing a lot of things in WFG, but also in the business platform." And yes, I am. But in order for me to get better, right, in our business, I needed to get better within. So I want you to write that down. In order for you to get better, right? You follow me? In order for you to get better, you got to get better within first. It all starts within. That picture to your, I don't know if it's to your left, yeah, to your left, right? The big one. I was in Hawaii. I took my family to one of the Hawaii trips, and I was close to 270 pounds. Close to 270 pounds. I had nuts. Close to I was 267 to be exact. 267. And on the right side, that was like a month ago, at 185 now. 180, 185. I'm battling a little plateau right now, 180, 185. But man, I'm gonna tell you guys this. You hear a lot of energy right now on this call. You hear a lot of heart in the call. I was happy with the belly, but I'm a lot happier now. I don't know if that makes any sense. I was happy with the belly because I was eating like a happy camper. But on the right, I just have the energy. It's raw energy. I don't need any energy drinks. There's nothing in my, it's just raw enthusiasm, raw fire. It's crazy, right? And I want you to understand one thing. When you make the decision to transform yourself within, everything around you will then change. Everything around you will then change. And I want to skip that picture. I want to show you guys because transformation starts within you. So, and it's a funny picture, man. Let's just change the gears here. So let's talk about recruiting. Let's talk about recruiting. Why we're here, right? Let's talk about recruiting. I want to make sure I stay on time here with you guys. Let's talk about recruiting. So I'm going to give you guys a few bullet points that I believe can help you explode your business and explode your recruiting. We went from not recruiting too many people back in 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, and from 2012, right? We built a base shop that at the end of 2012, we were the #1 recruiting base shop in all of WFG. And then we held that title for like 6 years back to back in the whole company. I want you to understand one thing. Ready? You, like I have a heart, you have a heart too. And all of us want to be displayed somewhere. If that makes any sense. In my head, it made more sense than it did when I was saying it. But I'm going to say it again. We weren't winning for a long time. And I felt like I wanted to put our team so far on the map that they would, whenever they talked about anything when it came to recruiting in the business, that they would reference our team name or they would reference us, whether it was good or bad. It didn't matter to me. I said, if my name's in your mouth, that means I'm doing something right. Whether it's good, whether it's oh my goodness, people used to say all he does is recruit young people and all he does is he goes and talks to kids at the elementary schools, right? And they used to make fun of us. And I'm the one laughing all the way to the bank right now because some of those guys are no longer in our business, and some of those guys are no longer around. But I wanted to become a staple in WFG. So if you're on this call today and you go, man, I've tried to, and I'm going to be honest with you, like, hey, I'm just not the most technical guy or lady on this call to like. Because you may think that the products that we sell are technical, right? Because they can be, and they can be a little intimidating, right? You guys follow me on that? I was that guy in the beginning. I was selling some policies here and there, right, for all the wrong market, and it was intimidating me. It scared the heck out of me to sell policies in the beginning because I felt like I didn't know what I was doing. And when I picked up recruiting, I said, man, this is easy. Because if I give somebody a shot that I was given, it's a game over. it's a done deal. I'm gonna bring people into this business and we're gonna explode, right? So I said, let me fall in love with recruiting and let me make it our edge on Team Alpha and Team Pinnacle, right? Because now when you think of Team Pinnacle, when you think of recruiting, right, or somebody who's held that name or that title, right, on Pinnacle or on Alpha or on in WG, you think of us. You think of Johnny Sepulveda and Green Team in his big shop in San Jose, and now we're in Phoenix and Utah and Boise, Idaho, like we're all across the U.S. now, right? But you think about it, you go, man, I wanted our team to have the edge of recruiting. So I picked something that I can win at, that I felt that I can win at. Let me rephrase that. I picked something that I felt that our team could win at. I looked at our people and I looked at a bunch of guys that were ragtag army that were having a hard time with the product stuff too. A lot of them were. And I said, hey, well, let's go freaking focus on recruiting. They used to always tell us that recruiting would always answer everything. Well, let's go give it a shot. And in 2012 we did. In 2013 we broke triple-digit recruiting. We were like the pioneers that did that at WG with Eric and some of the Giants, right? And then from then it's been game on. We recruited people all across the U.S. We got SMDs in Phoenix. We got SMDs in Arlene and Gabe and Carlos in Phoenix. We got SMDs in Atlanta, right? But Jessica Leon. We got SMDs here in our office and I believe a bunch of different people all over the U.S. So I don't want to leave anybody out there. So I call them out after. But I'm going to give you guys some bullet points. So all of this came from recruiting. So number one is your work ethic, right? And transferring that to others. So it's one thing for you to have a work ethic, right? See, I believe this started for me with my dad, with my father, right? My dad, I was a gardener for a little bit, working with my dad, right? Helping him out. But I would watch my dad work so hard that his employees could never outdo him because he always wanted to set the right example. So that my dad, with his work ethic, right? I want you to write this down. My dad, with his work ethic, he set the standard really, really high. So when I came into WMG and I started to work on recruiting, I said I'm going to set my work ethic so far apart that it's going to be very hard to fill in those shoes by anybody on my team that comes after me, right? But then I said, but I also got to transfer it to my people on my team because if I can't be the only one working, I can't be the hardest working guy. That's it, right? So then my work ethic, right? I said I need to figure out how to transfer it. And this is how I did it. You ready? I would sit with my teammates at whatever level they were at. I'm going to give you guys the edge that I have for recruiting, like Eric said, but I'm going to give you how we did it. So the work ethic, how do you transfer it, right? Because when we see Eric, you guys go, man, Eric's a beast. There's no way to freaking even do. Like, I'm not going to be anywhere near Eric Olsen's. Like, some of us on this call, we take a vacation and we're on vacation. We don't even get on the Zoom. Eric's doing Zooms on vacation in Cabo, like, and you know what I mean? Just for him, like, you know, like, he's gonna be that Michael Jordan of our industry. Follow me? So how do we transfer our work ethic? We first have to have one. You first have to have some kind of a work ethic to transfer. So that work ethic for me came from being a gardener, came from being a mechanic. All I knew was just how to work hard, right? And so then I transferred that to my teammates. How did I do that? I would meet with them on a one-on-one basis and figure out where they felt comfortable in. All my teammates, they do what they feel comfortable doing. Some of them are good producers, and some of them are good with people. Some of them aren't very good with people, so then they're good at something else, right? They're good at the product stuff. They're wizards with the product stuff. They love that stuff, and so then you gotta let them work their work ethic at whatever they're good at. So many of us on here, we're trying to get our people to do things that they're not good at. You're trying to make them a certain way. I remember me and Eric met one time, and he said, and he taught me, he teaches me every time I meet with him, I learn something, right? And I told him I met with somebody else, and he told me that I needed to do this, but I told that other person that wasn't me. You know, because I had a meeting with somebody that really rubbed me the wrong way, and they were trying to tell me how I needed to change everything about me, and I said, well, that takes away from me being unique. God made me this way. You know what I mean? If God did not like me this way, he'd be the one telling me, hey man, you need to change. Take, you know what I mean? Like, you guys follow me? I said, I'm gonna do it how I've been given the gift to do it, and enough people will follow. Does that make sense? At least the way I'm doing it, right? Number two, you got to make the decision to go all in. No, nothing good comes from you playing small, and nothing good comes from you not deciding on what you want to do. So I decided for when I started this whole plan, right, this whole focus on recruiting, that we were going to focus on recruiting. That recruiting was going to be our edge. That we weren't going to, like, we were going to know how to sell an IUL because it's not, I mean, you saw the Crusade story. There's a bunch of them that we have in our team. And matter of fact, I just finished doing a KTT before this appointment, before the Zoom call, like a pretty nice one, right? And we made 11,000 on the last cycle from a family bank and 7,000 the cycle before from another family bank. If we have another 20,000 coming the next two cycles from writing up family banks. So don't think that I'm not listening when we're on to learning about products. But what I'm trying to tell you is this: you got to make a decision to pick something that you're going to be good at and be good at that first. Too many of us are fiddling around with too many other things. Make a decision on something and go all in. If you're going to be, see, I've heard people say, well, I'm a good producer. Are you? Well, compared to what? I'm a good recruiter. Well, are you? Compared to what? Does that make sense? So make a decision on whatever it is that you want to do in this business, whether it's recruiting or being the best IUL person, being the best annuity, being the best family bank specialist, whatever it may be, right? But do it. Do it to its full capacity, right? Number 3, we made a commitment of being the first ones in and the last ones out. And somebody asked me the other day, well, John, like, how long did you do that for? Like, because that just sounds like forever. Like, you're going to work really, really hard forever. Aren't you going to get tired of doing that? And the answer is yes. You probably could get tired of doing it if you're not having fun doing it. But being the first ones in and the last ones out, obviously that's a little different right now with COVID because, you know, they have all these regulations that people not, you know, can't go out in your offices and stuff. But if you can, then go do it, right? Go through this quarantine and this COVID, right? And be that person that sets new barriers and new standards, right? But for the longest time, so we did it, and I'm going to give you a time frame. We did it for about 18 months, right? My leadership's on the call today. We can vouch for me. All hearts on the call. And some of the SMBs are as well. For about 18 months, right? For about 18 months, relentless. And I'm talking about relentless. Like the first one in, the last one. We would race to the office. I remember me and my one of my best friends in the business, right? Miguel Gudino. This guy lived in San Mateo, and I lived across the street from Bering Drive. I lived like literally 2 minutes away from our old office, right? He lived about an hour away. And we would race to the office to see who would be the first one there. And a lot of the times he would beat me, even though he was coming from like hours away. I was never a morning person, but I wanted to win so bad at something, so I made it my edge. I said, so I gotta compete whenever it. So you gotta be the first one in and the last one out. Make it competitive. Mario Bayona might not know this, but Mario Bayona used to post on the Pinnacle chats. He would take a selfie with his teammates leaving the office, or even on social media, last one's out. And then I would be looking at that stuff and I'm like, oh man, Mario, no wonder he's about to be, he's a millionaire in WMG because he's doing whatever it takes. And he's there with his teammates the late night hours, them rubbing elbows with successful people. So then don't think we're not watching, right? I was so competitive. I would watch him post stuff and I'm like, man, I gotta be in the office. I can't be the first. See, some of us are the last ones into the office and the first one out. You're the last one into the office, and then the first one also to leave. You're the first one, and I remember being in the Bering office. We were the first ones to get the phone call. Hey man, you want to go hang out? Grab a bite to eat. Your friends would call you, and you're like, yeah. They're like, because you said you run your own business. Why don't you come hang out with us? Okay, cool. And then you're always on a lunch break, right? The first one, the last one in, and the first one out. Yeah, I like. It's funny. That's a good revelation. I don't know. We're just posting that. The number 3, the first one in, last one out. So for how long did you need to do it? I don't know. For me and my wife, it was 18 months. It was 18 months. We did it 18 months relentlessly. And I'm going to go into what we did, the work, right? Because we didn't just show up to the office and sat there. We worked. We worked every day. We did phone calls every day. We talked to people every day. So that was number 3. Number 4, you got to believe in the people that you're recruiting long before they believe in themselves. That young guy, Abel Aguilar that I talked about just a couple slides ago, he didn't know if he was going to be able to do this, right? He was 18 years old, coming from the streets, San Jose. He's like, I don't know if I can do it. Look, everybody in this world is so negative, including most of our family members at times. Someone has to instill that belief into people. Does that make sense? And that someone is you. That someone is you. You're recruiting somebody. I want you guys, and to me, recruiting became a passion. Let me tell you why. For me, recruiting became a passion because when I recruited somebody, I felt like when I was giving birth, my wife was giving birth, not me, right? But when we were giving birth to our little one, yeah, you guys know what I mean. I did not give birth to any of the kids. My wife did. I was always there for that, but she was the one giving birth. Um, what? John gave birth? Well, when we gave birth, you know what I'm talking about. So every time we would recruit somebody, I felt like we just birthed somebody into WMG, right? And this is the way I thought about it. They came into our base shop. They got recruited into our team. They didn't even ask. Some of these guys didn't come knocking on our door. Hey, I want to be a part of WMG. No, we went out there and recruited them. You follow me? So that means we went out there and we birthed them into the business. They didn't even want to be here, some of them. You guys ever meet somebody that you recruited to the business and you're like, man, this lady's going to do amazing. And then she comes in, she goes, I don't know why I'm here. My cousin just keeps bragging about this business. And then in your head, you're like, man, she's been telling me that you would be amazing at this business, right? And the cousin's like, I don't even know why I'm here. So every time, the way I saw it was every time we brought somebody into our business, we just gave birth to a new child in our business. So then it's up to us to set the right standard. Does that make sense? Because see, if you're a parent on this call, you don't have your kids, right? When you give birth and bring them home, okay, mijo, we're home now. I know you're a couple of days old, but you're gonna have to figure this whole thing out because I'm still figuring this all out. And I know I'm your leader, your parent, mentor, right, in this life, but I don't know what I'm doing. You guys follow me? See, as I'm saying this, it almost sounds ridiculous.